The very year 2024 was mentioned as the year of elections for the whole world. Loksabha 2024 will not only define India, it will also contribute in a major way to defining the world. That substantial number of Bharatiya voters also are equally convinced that they are going to vote for Modi BJP NDA Bharat. चुनाव आएंगे जाएंगे लेकिन देश चलना चाहिए. The election is not just about who is going to form the government and who is going to get the majority. Election is about the very deepest of the core of Bharatiya civilization. What is at stake is Bharatiya civilization. Lok Sabha 2024, my dear friends, is therefore not just one more election. It is the very Maha Bharat for the very concept of Bharat. My dear friends, Namaste, and first and foremost are all my eternal best wishes for absolutely all of you. The eternal best wishes actually are always there, but it's my pleasure, it's my honor that I get to talk to you. So I use this opportunity to once again and forever express and extend my best wishes for absolutely all of you. Lok Sabha elections 2024 are now in top gear. The very year 2024 was mentioned as the year of elections for the whole world. In this year of 2024, more than 70 countries are going to go to polls. One can say the process started with Bangladesh and then through like Russia now, UK, Britain, and then the US president also. So for the world and the global democracy, the year 2024 carries a vital importance. This year is going to define the political map of the world. I don't think anyone will disagree that among all those elections, Indian elections are among the most important of them. Lok Sabha 2024 will not only define India, it will also contribute in a major way to defining the world. Without a shade of a doubt, India's stature has increased in the world during last 10 years. And here we are, right in the midst of Lok Sabha 2024. The process has already begun. 3 out of 7 stages are over. And just over half of the seats have already been voted upon. Their fate is sealed. And the number of seats just short of half are yet to come. It is at such a muhurta that I am talking to you. So it is clear that I am actually not talking to you about voting. and who you should vote for. While of course I am happy to say that it goes without saying that I am going to vote for Modi, BJP, NDA, which in my terminology is a vote for Bharat. I am also convinced that substantial number of Bharatiya voters also are equally convinced that they are going to vote for Modi, BJP, NDA, Bharat. So by and large, Pandits across all political colors and denominations know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is coming back. They are already talking about Modi 3. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is talking about hitting the ground running, and so there are reports emerging from Delhi that the plan for first 100 days on coming back to power, it is ready, and it is going to be very important, fundamentally affecting India's future. So the voter has decided आएगा तो मोदी ही. Obviously, I am not going to use this time to talk about the same point. With you, I want to try and go what I would like to describe as kind of deeper. One of India's statesmen, none other than Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, he used to say, चुनाव आएंगे जाएंगे लेकिन देश चलना चाहिए.
सत्ता का खेल तो चलेगा, सरकारें आएंगी जाएंगी, पार्टियां बनेगी बिगड़ेंगी, मगर ये देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र अमर रहना चाहिए.
Elections may come and go, but the nation has to go on. Elections, okay, are a part of national life, especially democratic life, and they're supposed to take place once every 5 years. But the nation is more important than elections. Elections may come and go. Political parties also may come and go. Therefore, various political leaders also may come and go. But the nation is above all of it. And the nation has to go on. That, according to me, is the significance of Loksabha 2024. This is not just one more routine election where various political parties may form various alliances and offer various manifestos and field their candidates and use catchy phrases and may win or lose or whatever. What is at stake in Lok Sabha 2024, my dear friends, is the very civilization of Bharat. This is not just one more routine election. What is at stake is the very idea of India, that is Bharat. To our misfortune, there are substantial, powerful elements in our polity, in our society, who don't even believe in the idea of one India. And of course, India, that is Bharat, something with which Article 1 of the Constitution begins. But for them, India is only a name for a certain geography. Something that British, colonial, imperialist, racist rulers used to say. Their best expression is in Winston Churchill. He used to say that there is no meaning to the word India apart from like when we say Europe. And there are strong forces in Indian polity who don't even believe in oneness of India. For them, it's just a geographical name. And they keep saying that India is not a nation. Their best description is this is union of states.
India is actually a union of states.
The leader of supposedly India's grand old party, and if he remembers, probably the very political organization that represented Indian nationalism during critical years of our freedom struggle. You have none other than Rahul Gandhi visiting Cambridge. So look at the platform he chooses to speak. Not in India, not any state, not any university within India, no intellectual debate with it. It is Cambridge in Great Britain. And there he says, India is not a nation, it's only a union of states.
India has always been a union of states. It has never been a nation.
He refers to the constitution saying that is what Article 1 says. Fortunately, there was a civil servant sitting there in the audience, and when the dais was open for Q&A, he raised hands, stood up, pointed his finger at Rahul Gandhi and said, you said India is not a nation, it's only union of state, and you referred to Article 1. This young officer said, if only you had turned back one page and cared to read the preamble that mentions India as the nation with capital N.
You quoted Article 1 of the Constitution saying India, that is Bharat, is a union of states as per the Constitution. But if you turn a page back and look at the preamble, it does mention that India is a nation.
That is the deepest article of faith, my friends. I would like to say that I'm not even talking party politics. The very nation and also the very civilization. Those who believe that there is no such India, that India has never been, it's only a description of a geographical territory, and whether you say India, that is Bharat, only consists of a hodgepodge of various cultures, languages, peoples, religions, just put together. They are the ones who like to say that there never was any India that is Bharat. It's only the British colonial rulers who brought this territory together. And therefore we are now under one constitution. But there is no one Bharat. There is no Bharatiya Sanskriti. And the one that goes on for over 5,000 years, that glorious civilization that has modified itself according to the times but maintained its own soul. Such anti-civilization forces gain their status by describing themselves as, you can say, liberal, which they are not, or you can say progressive, but it beats what is their idea of progress. So the election is not just about who is going to form the government and who is going to get the majority. Election is about the very deepest of the core of Bharatiya civilization. What is at stake is Bharatiya civilization. No wonder a DMK politician comes up and describes, you can say, Hindu/Sanatan as a virus which should be exterminated.
கொசு, டெங்கு காய்ச்சல், மலேரியா, கொரோனா இதையெல்லாம் நம்ம எதிர்க்கக்கூடாது, ஒழித்து கட்ட வேண்டும். அப்படிதான் இந்த சனாதனம்.
That kind of language also passes for progressivism, and this is the definition of liberalism, mind you. No one in the Indie alliance takes objection to this kind of language. Some of the leaders come up and say it's only an individual opinion. I don't know what kind of individual opinion that is. Another of a Tamil politician who was also a cabinet minister at a point of time at center. And by the way, some politicians also refuse to accept the very term center and central. They say there is nothing central. The word central is not there in our constitution. So they talk about union, etc. But this AK Raja, he comes up and says India is not a nation.
இந்தியா நாடல்ல, இந்தியா துணை கண்டம், சப்கான்டினென்ட். என்ன காரணம்? இங்க தமிழ் ஒரு தேசம் ஒரு நாடு, மலையாளம் ஒரு மொழி ஒரு தேசம் ஒரு நாடு, ஒரியா ஒரு தேசம் ஒரு மொழி ஒரு நாடு. அப்ப இத்தனை தேசிய இனங்களையும் சேர்த்தால் இந்தியா. So India is not a country, it is a subcontinent.
For something to be nation, you have to have one language, one religion, one sect, blah blah blah, etc. That is his concept. The guy does not even understand the glorious diversity which Bharatiya Sanskruti not only accommodates, but Bharatiya Sanskruti respects that diversity, understands, honors, dignifies the external manifestation of diversity, because at the bottom we understand how it is all one. And this is not only after 15th of August 1947 or after 26th of January 1950. This is what Bharat is for all thousands of years. But AK Raja comes up and says, no, we are not one. And India consists of different nations. Hamid Ansari, occupying like what? Everything, speaker, vice president, whatnot, comes up and says, there is nothing that unites India apart from a common citizenship, that's all. That is his sentence. Nothing that unites India apart from that common citizenship. This is their idea of what is India, man. So no deep Sanskriti, no unifying factors, no philosophy and approach to life, no common civilizational experience that can be described as our history and our roots. According to ex-Vice President Hamid Ansari, there is nothing that unites India apart from common citizenship, that's all. Therefore, you have another senior politician from Karnataka who actually stands up in our Loksabha and says, if we don't get sufficient finances from the center, we will have to consider separating from India, man. He can bring himself as an MP from Karnataka to speak like this in our own Lok Sabha.
We might be compelled to seek the creation of a separate nation.
What is their commitment to unity of India and of course development of India? It gives me no pleasure to say, therefore, that the Lok Sabha Maha Bharat that is taking place is not just elections. It is about the fundamental concept of Bharat. These are the people who are against even the name Bharat. Look at their program also. They keep talking about minority appeasement. While uniform civil code should have been brought on January 27, 1950, it is still not there. And every kind of separatism is nurtured. They are the ones who are opposing Citizenship Amendment Act, that we will abolish it and bring back original provisions. It is Salman Khurshid's niece who in a public political meeting talks of the concept of vote jihad. Come on.
एक साथ होके वोटों का जिहाद करो, क्योंकि हम सिर्फ वोटों का जिहाद कर सकते हैं.
That Indian Muslims voting as a vote block. This is progressive. This is liberal. Also think of the economic program offered by India Alliance. It's the same age-old, dilapidated and defeated bunch of pre-1991 socialist policies that very ones that brought India on the verge of bankruptcy. So under sort of global pressure, India had to take to LPG, and fortunately Prime Minister Narsimha Rao showed the vision enough to get India on the path of LPG. That he got Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister is his stroke of genius. But now the manifestos of the opposition parties, especially India Alliance and particularly Congress, talks about the same centralizing, bureaucratizing, socialist policies which strengthen the state at the cost of the citizen. Those socialist policies turned out to be ineffective. But a certain Professor Raj Krishna, the professor of economics from Rajasthan, proudly declared them as Hindu rate of growth. That's the idea of liberal progressivism. Hindu rate of growth. What is Hindu in it? But the use of the very term Hindu in negative sense, pejorative, was considered a mark of progressivism. Economically speaking, those were actually socialist policies. The policies that kept India's GDP growth rate very low. But you have Professor Raj Krishna describing them as Hindu rate of growth. And the current opposition dispensation coming up with the same utterly dead and uncreative manifesto. Rajiv Malhotra has correctly identified them as breaking India forces. And so much so that actually opposition is not even putting the government and government policies under scanner. Think of last 5 or even 10 years, honestly. Think of India in 2013 and think of what is India now and form your own opinion. But those policies and programs, they are not even being discussed or considered. JP Morgan comes out with a report that Indian economy is world's fastest growing major economy. The report says that India is an engine of growth for the world economy. That India contributes maximum to value addition for the global economy. And India will continue to be world's fastest growing major economy for years to come. Okay, that the same report says we may not reach double-digit growth rate, fine. And then we have to think and follow every policy because of which Indian economy may also enter double-digit growth rate, of course. Of course, jobs are wanted. Of course, educated unemployment is a major problem and we need accelerated GDP growth rate. But is that also being examined by the opposition? No such discussion there. Really think of Corona period and the global situation. And if by any chance you remember how by and large Indian, especially print media, was responding. Everything is wrong. Everything is going haywire. People are like dropping like flies. And so burning pyres would be shown. And like other countries are doing okay. See how Europe is doing. See how America is doing. And according to, of course, there is a substantial element within media, within India, which raises China to a sky-high level, saying everything in China the vaccine, etc., they would not even hold China accountable for the very corona. But think of India. Go back to the year 2021 and managing a continental proportion India of over 140 crores and 2 doses plus booster doses for the elderly ones. Did India not control corona properly? Now the recent reports of AstraZeneca are there, okay, they need to be studied and all. But did India not competently confront it? And India did it well. And while European, including USA and the developed countries, were actually taking to xenophobic, narrow vaccine nationalism, it was India that helped more than 66 countries in the world, including developed countries. But instead of discussing these policies and presenting the program for the future, it's only all negative discussion that is going on, including the point about bringing reservations for Muslims, mind you. How explosively dangerous it is. It was the British ploy of divide and rule, which first of all brought reservations for Muslims under the Morley-Minto reforms of 1909. And from there, it was the British sponsored also, and then Jinnah and Muslim League nurtured Muslim separatism, which created the Direct Action Day on August 16, 1946, and a bloodbath and the partition. But these people who don't believe in Bharat, they don't even believe that partition was such a big blow to Bharat. But it was reservations on religious grounds that became a starting point for Muslim separatism. When the Constituent Assembly sat, actually there were reservations on religious grounds, but the Constituent Assembly carefully considered and abolished existing reservations on religious grounds. And in fact, even a primary reading of the Constitution will tell us that our Constitution does not approve of reservations based on religious grounds. But here we have, after 75 years of our independence, again for electoral benefit, a very narrow sectarian concept, dangerously narrow and short-sighted, but talking of reservations for Muslims. So the concept of Bharat is at stake. And those who are losing then also seek international support, mind you, in media, in politics. Okay? So a very powerful country sends its ambassador to India, who while testifying in his own country, he says he is reaching India, okay, to set the democracy straight. That something is wrong with Indian democracy. And then he says he is coming to India to set it right. By and large, fortunately, enough number of Bharatiyas also are now awakened to understand this international cabal, their toolkit, including various media, including BBC, the magazine Economist, or American newspapers, New York Times and Washington Post, and some German newspapers and German channels, and some French also. By and large, for want of any other word, I have to broadly describe them as leftist. They call themselves liberal. They are not liberal. Bharat is liberal. Bharat is inclusive. So it is these guys who within India also seek international help. And various international forces are trying to interfere in Indian democracy to ensure that Modi BJP doesn't come back to power. You have an Indian Foreign Service officer then joining politics, basically a very intelligent person in Mani Shankar Iyer, who appears on Pakistan TV and seeks the help of Pakistan to remove Narendra Modi from power. Is that liberalism? Is that constitution? And we can't be sure that the same forces are not working. This is also a lesson in Indian history, mind you. How could British conquer India? How did India lose sovereignty then? A small company, East India Company, coming from long distance from a small island, was able to subjugate, defeat, and then eventually rule this country for like approximately 150 years. Our internal divisions, power struggle, and for internal power struggle, one party would seek help from one foreigner, and therefore the other party would go seeking help from other foreigner. Finally, you had global power struggle on our soil, ending in loss of sovereignty for us. Have we learnt any lesson? Going by even the contemporary politics, it becomes clear that no, we don't seem to have learnt that lesson. So they talk of majoritarian nationalism. So as if dividing Hindu society on like caste, language, region, etc. is all progressive. So this news magazine Economist has the gumption to come up with a cover story saying India's north-south divide. And BBC coming up with the documentary, correct, on the muhurta of when the electoral process is to begin, the Modi question, which is actually settled. But all kinds of this foreign interference to ensure that India, united and strong, doesn't stand up. So dividing Hindu society on all kinds of caste and other considerations is okay. But if Bharatiyas unite and express their political opinion in a peaceful, non-violent way through the ballot, then suddenly these guys, anti-Bharat guys, coined the term majoritarian nationalism. Actually, if anything, the Bharatiya, which is same as Hindu, which is same as Sanatan, concept and philosophy and people are more inclusive. It is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is mother of democracy. But for that, Bharat has to come together and stand tall, be proud of our deep, ancient civilization, which also has the capacity to modify itself according to the times. So the vision is not to be fixed on the past, it is to be on the future. So the Bharat of 2047. Loksabha 2024, my dear friends, is therefore not just one more election, it is the very Maha Bharat for the very concept of Bharat. I think of myself as a small Karyakarta in our even modern journey of the glory for Bharat. It is in that capacity that I talk to you with a deep conviction that we are marching towards a glorious future, and the Bharat that develops glorious future will also work, that is our mission, for the glorious future of the whole world. It is with that I once again say all my best wishes to all of you and take leave of you. Thank you. All the very best.